It is rare for audiophile companies to give us something unique. There are too many DACs and amps in the market, and they nearly always follow the same rinse and repeat desktop philosophy. But here's xDuoo with a brand new product, one which seems to finally understand that most people already have their preferred playback device, and that device happens to be their phone. This is the DT01. It costs $160. The folks at Atmos Audio let me borrow the DT1 for review. Check out Atmos if you've got an itch to buy new gear this holiday season. Heck, they even have used gear you can get at a discount. Now, let's check out the DT1. xDuoo calls the DT1 a, quote, hi-fi turntable for the phone. And it also says it is a, quote, phone DAC preamp player. Basically, you get a plug-and-play device that plugs into your smartphone and amplifies the signal to your headphones. Simple enough? The natural first question is, how is this unique? Don't we already have a plethora of dongle DACs that do exactly the same thing? No, not really. The DT1 has more to offer than your typical or even atypical dongle DAC. The DT1 charges your phone, receives signal through USB from smart mobile devices, and can also send signal out through USB, optical coaxial, and aux. This is much more than a dongle DAC replacement. It is, in fact, a device created just for your mobile phone or tablet, where you might keep your entire music library, by the way. The DT1's output signal is fairly robust. You can play all your high-resolution PCM files and even DSD up to 256. Sorry, no MQA support. And here's the kicker. The DT1 supposedly provides 350 milliwatts at 32 ohms through its single-ended headphone output. I don't know of any other dongle DAC that does that. The DT1 is built really well. Aluminum is the word of the day. It is machined, smooth, and sturdy. The tray that attaches to hold your phone or tablet has felt backing, a nice consideration for those who do not buy protective covers. There's a blue LED light just below the phone cradle, and this light will glow to show sample rate. The front panel houses 3 switches. The first is to toggle phone charging on and off, and that's a nice design. Those of us who worry about depleting the charge cycle of devices that are already getting a little bit long in the tooth will benefit. The middle switch is for powering the DT on and off, and the third switch is to select the line output on the rear panel. The single-ended headphone out sits to the far right. The DT1 sends signal at the same time to the headphones and the line out on the back. You control volume for both using the volume wheel on the side. The back panel contains a 5-volt USB power input for the DT1. You do not need a wall socket, so you can plug the DT1 through a 5-volt USB power bank. There's also a USB-C digital input for connecting to your mobile device. Finally, there's a row of output options we previously discussed. All things considered, the DT1 is simple, robust, and capable. If you don't need a desktop amp and DAC, then this device makes perfect sense. I used the DT1 for a few weeks. I listened to high-resolution lossless files, streamed lossy content, and consumed a variety of other content. I used numerous headphones and IEMs. I listened through the Focal Elex and Utopia, Beyerdynamic DT880 600 ohm, Avantone Planar, audeze LCD2 Classic and LCD1, Sennheiser HD26, Allo S5X, Blue Ella, Moondrop Aria, Tin Hi-Fi T2, 7Hz Timeless, Meze Audio Alba, and Final Audio B2, among a few others. Obviously, the DT1 is a plug-and-play device. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my Nintendo Switch to work with it. Some Android phones may not have USB output options, so you either will need to activate developer features, or your phone or tablet are simply too old or purposefully locked out of that feature. My iPhone connected immediately, as did my LG V30. In fact, I put my Samsung Tab S9 Ultra on the DT1, and as silly as it did in fact look, it did work. I found no degradation of audio quality by playing things through the DT01. Unfortunately, I cannot do an A/B test like I otherwise would, since the source, in this situation my phone or tablet, can send signal out to only one device at a time through their respective USB or Lightning ports. There is no way for me to make a fair comparison. So, an unfair comparison can be made. And in that unfair comparison, the DT01 performed as well as a desktop amp DAC. I plugged the DT01's headphone output into an A/B switch and then also plugged in the Brooklyn DAC Plus, Matrix Mini-i Pro 3, and even the headphone output of my Mac Studio. I tried to volume match as best as I could and played lossless audio that I had stored on my Mac and both the mobile devices that I used. The Mac Studio was the most difficult to get into matched volume. It took a little bit of doing, but I was finally able to achieve it. The other comparison products were no trouble in this regard. Going back and forth playing the same tracks at the same time, I heard no audible difference in sound quality or sound signature when the devices were volume matched. Moreover, the DT01 does not have any audible distortion or noise through the headphone output. As for power delivery, I cannot independently verify that the DT01 does in fact provide 350 milliwatts as the company claims. But what I can say is that it had no trouble powering every headphone and IM I previously mentioned. When my source devices were sending signal out at maximum volume and I could modulate volume through the DT01, all of the headphones and IM seemed to get proper power for peak performance. Now, that's a little bit of a gimme because there's one or two headphones that didn't quite make it. The first one is the DT880, the 600 ohm variant. A few years ago, I made a video about that headphone and its purposeful requirement for 100 ohm impedance output from the amplifier, which this device, obviously the DT01, doesn't have. The DT880 600 ohm variant does get fairly loud through the DT1, so that's not really the issue. The issue with the 880 is that it doesn't have the bassiness that the 880 does have when it is connected to a 100 ohm output impedance amplifier. It's kind of a nuanced thing, but if you really want to get into it, watch the videos that I made. The other thing is that I would not use the DT1 with something like the Modhouse Argon. The DT1 simply will not drive that headphone. But the DT1 can drive any planar magnetic headphone with reasonable power requirements. And that includes all of the Audeze LCD line of headphones. It also includes the Avantone planar and, well, you guessed it, a ton of those hifi planar magnetic headphones that are in the market. And the 600 ohm Beyerdynamic T1 2nd Gen worked quite well. That is a dynamic driver headphone, and dynamic drivers are very easy to power. Of course, it also helps that the 600 ohm Beyerdynamic T1 2nd Gen does not require 100 ohm output impedance. Look, I'll make this very simple. The DT1 is a breath of fresh air. Those who keep their media on their phones or tablets can finally have a robust device that allows them to use their favorite headphones or IMs. I'd go as far as to say that the DT1 is somewhat mobile as well. You can power it through a USB bag, and it can be stowed into a small form. So, technically, you can toss it into your backpack and take it with you wherever you go. Heck, you could theoretically get a long USB cable, plug that into the DT1 while it's in a backpack being powered by a power bank, and use it on the go that way. I'm glad xDuoo decided to do something different, and it does it really, really well. The $160 price tag is a little bit on the expensive side for what you get, but given the full panoply of features and connectivity, I think the price can be justified. The DT01 is a good device, and finally, an audiophile company sees the future as it is, mobile, for better or worse.